Government business. Order of the day number 1, Making Queensland Safer Bill, resumption of second reading debate.
Mr Speaker.
I call the member for Capalaba.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr Speaker. The 26th of January is supposed to be a day of celebration, a day that we can celebrate the nation Australia has grown to become. For my wife and I, it will be forever the day that 3 members of our family were taken from us, uncontrollable, unstoppable, untouchable repeat youth offender. Across Queensland, families have been shattered, lives inseparably changed, and communities torn apart by the rampant youth crime crisis in this state. These are just not numbers rapidly increasing on the sheet, Mr Speaker. These are people, real people. These are fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, sons, daughters, neighbours, outstanding members of the communities who should still be with us. Their absence is a stark reminder of what happens when government fail the people they are here to represent. My family were failed. The family of Emma Lovell were failed. The families of so many more victims have been failed. 10 years ago, the former Labor government moved to water down Australia's youth justice laws, created a generation of untouchables. Weak consequences for young crims that allowed them to offend, re-offend and devastate livelihoods with impunity. Had that decision not been made, one can only wonder how many victims, communities and families just like mine would still be intact today. The revolving door of Labor's failed youth justice system will forever be a legacy of those opposite. In the last financial year alone, there are 46,130 finalised proven offences by young crims, a 12% increase from the previous year and a 51% increase in the past 5 years, and a 98% increase in the last 10 years. Those opposite had let victims, communities and even young offenders themselves had let them down. During the Justice, Integrity, Community Safety Committee's inquiry into the Making Queensland Safer Bill, we heard accounts from Queenslanders whose lives had been devastated by youth crime. Gillian Joyce, an Australian Army veteran, shared the committee that she feels safer while being on deployment in conflict zones overseas than she does in her own community. Is this the Queensland that those opposite can be proud of? A state where even our veterans don't feel safe to be in. Mr Speaker, Gillian's sentiment echoes across the state, including my electorate of Capalaba, where locals have spent the last decade living in fear. They are tired of it and they want change. Mr Speaker, there will be change. We took our adult time policy to the election with a promise of legislating our Making Queensland Safer laws before Christmas. We will deliver that promise. I was following the debate in the chamber last night and I'm astounded. I'm astounded by the behaviour and the contributions of some of the opposite. I'm astounded that those opposite have moved to delay the introduction of these laws. Truth be told, I'm not really that surprised. Mr Speaker, why is it now that the members on that side of the House are attempting to look proactive on the issue of youth crime? 10 years. The opposite had 10 years to make change. Instead, they chose to sit on their hands and close their eyes to the tragedies occurring across the state. Charter boat? What charter boat? Youth crime crisis? What youth crime crisis? After all, it's not just a media beat-up. When Matt and Kate Miles were taken from us, former Premier Palaszczuk was on the scene, cameras in tow. The then Premier drove past our home with then Police Commissioner Katarina Carroll. The media took their photos at the corner of Allenby Road and Finucane Road scene of the crime, and then the Premier drove past our place home again on the way back to 1 William Street. Only Katarina Carroll, former police commissioner, stopped at our home to express how sorry she was that something like this could ever happen. If the former Labor government wanted to give the perception that it would crack down on youth crime, then they had it for a brief time. Our family knew the reality. There was almost zero contact with the government. I don't believe the member from Marumba even knew who I was when he fronted the Voice for Victims rally earlier this year. Those opposites spent last decade in office promising change but never delivering. This LNP Crisafulli government will deliver change. We will deliver justice for victims. Justice for victims past, present and future. The people of Queensland knew what we're offering. They delivered us the mandate to legislate the Making Queensland Safer laws. The passing of these laws will put in the past Labor's soft on-crime approach and give Queenslanders the justice and protection they deserve for the future. These laws will send a crystal clear message to young criminals committing adult crime, and you'll serve adult time. How can it be that a young criminal with over 130 offences on his rap sheet can only receive 6 years jail for three lives taken? Strike me down. Last week, we saw that failure of the youth justice system again. Another criminal steals a car, wipes out and kills 3 people, receives a sentence where he only needs to serve 60% of a 6-year sentence before he's allowed to walk back out in the streets. I assure you the lives of Michaela Chandler, Kelsey Davies and Siri Robertson are worth more than that. The lives of every Queenslander killed by an out-of-control young crim are worth more than that. These laws are just as much about rehabilitation and justice as they are to punishing the offenders. These new laws will open up the Children's Court to allow victims, their families and the media more transparency throughout the judicial process. This is an important change and the one that Queenslanders told us was desperately needed. One issue that I noted during the course of the election was the number of victims who'd been kept in the dark about the whereabouts of their perpetrators. Some released back into the very same community, their victims not told until after the fact. Mr. Speaker, this government understands that prevention is as vital as accountability. That is why we're investing in early intervention and rehabilitation programs to turn the tide on youth crime. The initiatives are staying on track, $175 million program offering 12 months post-release support to help young people rebuild their lives with stability and purpose. Circuit breaker sentencing, an $80 million program providing an alternative to detention with targeted rehabilitation for up to 60 young people at a time. And community-led crime prevention, a $100 million investment to empower local initiatives that address the root causes of crime, focusing on education, training and employment, among others. These are real, meaningful steps to break the cycle of offending and give young people the chance to choose a different path. A path that shows them the way ahead is by honest work and determination to build a good life for themselves and their families. Mr. Speaker, it's also about restoring trust in our justice system, in which Queensland, we have lost its faith. The former government's catch and release program created great frustration among our police who are working trying to keep our community safe. Recently, I paid a visit to Capalaba Police Station with the Minister for Police to listen to the concerns of the police on the ground in our community. Morale is at an all-time low. Queensland Police Union has voiced its support for the tough provisions in this bill, including the adult time approach. They know firsthand the devastating impact of youth crime, with over 13,000 motor vehicle thefts reported last year, despite numerous police enforcement strategies to curb the rising number of thefts. For many, the theft of a car means loss of income. During the campaign, locals and Queenslanders from every corner of the state expressed to me how they've been impacted. Teenagers working hard to save money, from their part-time jobs to purchase their first car, what should be a time of joy, only to be stolen months down the track. Insurance premiums skyrocketing, hurting hip pockets of Queenslanders already struggling under the cost of living crisis. Do those opposite truly believe this, or they're just about a media beat-up? My family story is just one of many. Every lie lost is every victim impacted is a reminder of why this bill is so critical. We owe it to these who have suffered, to those who have lost, and to the future of generations of Queenslanders to make a safer place.
Thank the member for
Deputy
Calabar.
Speaker.